Welcome to This Explainer. Today, we're taking a fascinating and honestly a slightly shocking look at an industry that most of us interact with every single day. I'm talking about the global supplement market. It is an absolute juggernaut, expected to reach a staggering $107 billion worldwide. I mean, from vitamins and herbals to protein powders, these products have locked down a prime spot in our medicine cabinets and our gym bags. Okay, let's dive into this and see what the science actually says about that daily dose of wellness.
It's a pretty provocative question, isn't it? Right now, nearly half of all Americans are consuming herbal and dietary supplements, mostly driven by this understandable desire to improve health, vitality, and overall appearance. We kind of naturally assume that just because something is sold in a health food store or labeled natural, it must be inherently safe. But today, we're going to peel back the label and uncover what is actually inside that daily scoop or pill. And fair warning, the reality might completely change how you view your morning routine.
So here is our roadmap for the explainer today. First up, the health halo. Then we'll cover the regulatory Wild West, followed by liver toxicity and supplements, the protein powder problem, and finally, Whole Foods real results. Let's get right into it.
Section 1. The Regulatory Wild West. To truly grasp what's sitting in our supplements, we first have to understand the historical and legal context of the industry here in the US, because quite frankly, it is a modern-day regulatory Wild West. This comparison right here highlights a massive cognitive dissonance in how we handle consumer health products. For conventional pharmaceutical drugs, rigorous pre-market safety testing is strictly required by law before a product ever reaches you. But dietary supplements? Well, they're regulated under a 1994 law called DSHA, which was championed by Senator Orrin Hatch. Under DSHA, supplements require absolutely zero pre-market safety testing. Let that sink in for a second. Zero.
What's really interesting about this slide is what this actually spells out in plain English. The burden of proof for safety doesn't rest on the manufacturer before they sell you the product. Nope, it rests entirely on the FDA after the product is already sitting on store shelves. The manufacturer basically just has to promise they're adhering to manufacturing standards and not adulterating the product. It's essentially an honor system, and, as we'll see, that system has some very serious real-world flaws.
Section 2. Liver toxicity and supplements.
With that lack of oversight in mind, let's look at the clinical reality. We need to talk about the severe medical risks of herbal and dietary supplements, specifically targeting one of our most vital, hardworking organs, the liver. The medical term we're focusing on here is hepatotoxicity. This basically means liver injury caused by drugs or chemicals. And the tricky thing about hepatotoxicity is that it doesn't always announce itself with obvious red flags like jaundice right out of the gate. It can present very subtly at first, maybe just a general feeling of fatigue, malaise, or a bit of nausea, but it can escalate dramatically all the way to acute liver failure, which is a life-threatening condition that can literally require a liver transplant.
And the data on this, it is alarming. When we look at national registries tracking drug-induced liver injury, or DILI, the percentage of cases actually caused by supplements is rising incredibly fast. In the US, it jumped up to 20%. But look at the numbers in the Asian registries. In Singapore, 71% of liver injury cases were due to supplements, and in Korea, a staggering 73%. As the global commerce of supplements booms, so do the adverse medical events.
Let's break down some of the specific culprits here. In the bodybuilding category, supplements secretly tainted with anabolic steroids cause a very specific pattern of injury characterized by prolonged, severe jaundice. For weight loss, green tea extracts, which are often concentrated way beyond what you'd get in a normal cup of tea, have been convincingly linked to oxidative liver injury, essentially causing cellular damage and severe stress to the organ. And black wash, frequently used for menopausal symptoms, has been associated with autoimmune-type liver injuries, where the body mistakenly attacks its own liver. Because these products aren't rigorously tested beforehand, consumers are basically playing a game of biological roulette.
Looking directly at actual FDA warnings and recalls from the source research, you can spot some huge names on this list. Products like Hydroxycut and Oxylite Pro were incredibly popular, bestsellers really, before they were ultimately recalled by the FDA for explicitly causing cases of acute liver failure. And tragically, some of those cases even resulted in death or the need for a total liver transplant. The problem isn't just that the natural herbs themselves can be toxic, it's that the products are so often adulterated. Because nobody is double-checking before the bottles are shipped out, investigators routinely find undeclared synthetic steroids in muscle builders, active pharmaceuticals like sildenafil, which is the active ingredient in Viagra, in performance enhancers, and incredibly, heavy metals like mercury, lead, and arsenic contaminating certain traditional Ayurvedic herbs. You simply do not always know what you're swallowing.
Let's move to and see how this builds into Section 3, the protein powder problem. Pivoting from herbal pills to a daily staple for millions of people. 134. That is the number of popular protein powder products screened by a nonprofit group called the Clean Label Project. They took these 134 everyday off-the-shelf products and tested them for 130 different types of known toxins. The results were definitely not what health-conscious consumers want to hear.
The researchers discovered a terrifying cocktail of contaminants hiding right there in many of the powders. They found heavy metals, lead, arsenic, cadmium, and mercury. They found pesticides. They even found BPA, which is a chemical used to make plastics. Now, these are toxins with known links to cancer and other serious health conditions. Where do they even come from? Well, the report points to contaminated soil absorbed by the plants used for the protein, combined with poor manufacturing processes.
Just to give you a real sense of scale here, one single protein powder they tested actually contained 25 times the allowed limit of BPA. Remember, these are products heavily marketed as health foods, consumed daily by people actively trying to improve their bodies, who are inadvertently exposing themselves to massive doses of industrial chemicals.
So the crucial point is that even beyond the toxins, there's a huge secondary nutritional risk. Some of these protein powders are packed with hidden calories and sugar. Depending on what you mix it with, a simple post-workout protein shake can easily balloon into a 1,200-calorie drink, packing up to 23 grams of added sugar. Instead of building lean muscle, you could be risking weight gain and causing massive, unhealthy spikes in your blood sugar.
Section 4. Whole Foods, Real Results. So, where does this all leave us? Do we just abandon protein altogether? Absolutely not. Let's look at safe, actionable, and scientifically backed nutritional strategies to hit our goals without taking on all those risks. First, let's look at what you actually need. According to Harvard Health, the recommended dietary allowance, or RDA, for protein intake is about 46 grams per day for women and 56 grams per day for men. Now, while athletes or those recovering from illness might need a bit more, the truth is that massive amounts of protein from concentrated supplements simply aren't necessary for the vast majority of people unless medically supervised. And this brilliantly illustrates how surprisingly easy it is to meet those daily requirements using ordinary, delicious whole foods. Just 6 ounces of plain Greek yogurt gives you 18 grams. A simple 2 ounces of chicken gives you 14 grams. A cup of milk gives you 8. One single egg is 6. A handful of nuts is up to 7 grams. By choosing whole foods, nuts, seeds, dairy, legumes, fish, and lean meat, you get high-quality protein without the regulatory blind spots, the heavy metals, or the hidden added sugars.
It's a fundamental shift in perspective. The supplement industry has spent billions trying to convince us that health comes in a powder or a pill, but the science shows that the safest, most effective path to wellness usually comes on a plate. So next time you reach for that scoop of powder or that bottle of herbal capsules, ask yourself, are you actually feeding your muscles, or are you just giving your liver more toxins to filter? Thank you for joining me for this explainer, and keep questioning the science behind your routine.